Resuming debate, prise de débat, the honourable member for Red Deer, Lacombe.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and what a great speech by my colleague from Louis Saint Laurent. I was not sure I want to be the final act in this particular set of speakers, Madam Speaker, but I'm really thrilled to have the opportunity to speak on behalf of my constituents in Red Deer, Lacombe, a brand new riding, and just so happy to have the opportunity to represent such great, hardworking people. I wish the Liberals would get out of the way of some of the economic things that are holding us back when it comes to pipeline approvals and so on, because there's a lot of folks in central Alberta love to get back to work and pay their fair share of taxes. Maybe the deficit wouldn't be so low if we had. But, Madam Speaker, the motion that we have before us today deals with the Minister of Infrastructure and his lavish spending. And I just want to be clear for the record so that Canadians who are watching right now understand what this is. This is almost $1 million in renovations for 32 staff. Now, I went on to the government employment site and actually looked. According to GEDS, actually, there's only 12 people in the minister's office and 6 people in the deputy minister's office. That number to me is 18, but if he says there's 32, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. We know what a Liberal job record or job creation program looks like. It's just tax and hire people to work for the government. But we'll see that time and time again over the next 4 years. But I just want to talk about this. $204,889 for the renovation cost for the minister's own office. That's just the minister's office. Okay. The renovation for the deputy minister's office, $138,673. Furniture for both offices, $486,378 for a grand total of $835,252. That's money that we had to take out of hardworking taxpayers' pockets just so we could have a lavish office for the new Minister of Infrastructure, a minister who comes from Edmonton, where we ought to know, where politicians ought to know, that when they start spending taxpayers' dollars on lavish entitlements for themselves, we get things like Sky Palace that Alison Redford had, and now we have Sky Palace 2.0 for the Minister of Infrastructure. Well, Madam Speaker, Albertans for sure don't tolerate this kind of behavior. But I just want to put things into perspective, what $835,000 or almost $1 million will get you. For example, in my riding of Red Deer, Lacombe, and previously the riding of Wetaskiwin, the town of Bentley had a Memorial Park playground that they applied for Canada 150 for $465,000. This would have been a playground that everybody in the community could have used for years and years and years and years to come, not a office for a couple of bureaucrats in downtown Ottawa. Ponoka Splash Park actually wanted to upgrade their splash park and make it more safe. They only asked for a mere $28,150. Ironically, that's about the same cost that one of these offices is for the 32 staff. If you divide $800 and some thousand by 32, that gets you a safe splash park or an office for one staffer that's likely only going to be for 4 years. Madam Speaker, the Ponoka Ag Event Centre had a digital sign request for storage shed, permanent seating for their wonderful events that they put on there, indoor roping events and so on with their horses and dressage, all these kinds of things. They're looking for $242,000. I'm sure the taxpayers in Ponoka and Central Alberta area there would have much rather seen their tax dollars come back to their constituency, spent on infrastructure investments for them, not on a minister's office. Sewer system in Lagoon for Bentley, $190,000. The Colm Athletic Park wanted $210,000. Street paving in Clyde, we could have repaved the whole town of Clyde for about $500,000. Thorsby Seniors Club building renovations, they only wanted $20,000. Kalmar Arena upgrades, $500,000 so the kids could play hockey for years and years and years to come. But no, we needed a nice new office for the newly minted Minister of Infrastructure. In fact, the Ponoka Splash Park, the Bentley Sewer System and Lagoon Reconstruction, the Lacombe Athletic Park, the Thorsby Seniors Club, the Ponoka Ag Event Centre, and the Mirror and District Museum projects would have actually all been funded for $700,000, less than what the Minister of Infrastructure actually spent. This is where the money comes from. It comes out of the taxpayers' pockets in these communities. It should go back to these communities in the form of investments, but no, we see it going into the Minister's office. So, Madam Speaker, that leads me to believe the next question I have is, what could we do with $1 million? So I was going to ask, what would we do if we had the decision as the Minister of Infrastructure with $1 million? Well, thankfully, Madam Speaker, we don't have to ask everybody. We just have to ask the Bare Naked Ladies. Because the Bare Naked Ladies back in the 80s published a song. If I had $1 million. If I had $1 million, Madam Speaker, what would I do? Well, Madam Speaker, I could buy you a house. Well, Madam Speaker, it just so turns out that a house in the minister's office, the average cost of a home in the minister's riding, actually is $208,000. $83,000. So he could have bought 3 homes in his own riding, putting people who are homeless in his riding inside a home, but no, he's got a nice office. If I had $1 million, I could buy you furniture for your house. Well, maybe a nice Chesterfield or an ottoman. Well, we know there's nice Chesterfields up there, Madam Speaker, and for about $15,625 per office suite, they have brand spanking new furniture, and I'm sure there's a couple of ottomans thrown in there. By the way, Madam Speaker, the average Canadian household spends about $2,000 a year on new furnishings, so this is looking pretty good for those 32 lucky people that are going to have those pretty swanky new renovated offices to work in. And, Madam Speaker, if I had $1 million, I could buy you a K-car. Now that is a nice, reliant automobile. And in its prime, the K-car went for $5,880 brand new. That is 142 K-cars. That the Minister of Infrastructure could have bought for Canadians that needed transportation needs, but no, Madam Speaker, we're not going to get that from the Minister. Well, they went on, Madam Speaker, that they could build a tree fort in your yard. For example, $500 built me a tree fort for my kids. Now, it wasn't quite that lavish, but that's 1,670 tree houses. And doesn't a tree house just remind you of a Sky Palace? Sky Palace 2.0, perhaps? Well, Mr. Speaker, we could help. It wouldn't be that hard. But he should be asking John Baird for help, because John Baird, as the minister, actually spent $42 billion, and he spent it all on things that actually Canadians needed, and he did so with complete approval from the Auditor General, not a questionable expense, and he did it in his half-time role as the Minister of Infrastructure. It was kind of ironic that a fully dedicated minister couldn't find a cheaper way to do it than a half-time minister could. Maybe we could get a little tiny fridge in there somewhere. They have all these pre-wrapped bacon and sausages laid out for us. They don't have pre-wrapped bacon, but Madam Speaker, bacon goes for about $1 for 100 grams. So we could have bought 83,500,000 grams of bacon, or 42 tons of bacon. The minister could have brought home 42 tons of bacon with that money. But no, he's just got a nice office. Well, the song goes on, Madam Speaker. If I had $1 million, I could buy you a fur coat, but not a real fur coat, that's cruel. I don't necessarily subscribe to that point of view, but an average fur coat costs about $2,000. So we could have lavishly outfitted some homeless people that were looking for a coat. We could have done that for 417 people, a nice sealskin coat, hey, to keep them nice and warm. But no, the minister needed new office renovations instead. I could buy you an exotic pet, yep, like a llama or an emu. Did you know that a llama today is about $50? We could have bought 16,700 llamas. We could be the llama capital of North America if only the minister had some vision that went beyond his own immediate needs of putting together a very, very lavish office for himself. Now, they went on to talk about John Merrick's remains. Madam Speaker, I just have nothing funny to say to that, so I'm going to pass on that. But if he had $1 million, he wouldn't have to walk to the store. Actually, it costs about $20,000 to stock a convenience store, by the way. That's 41 stores worth of products that we could put out there for Canadians' needs, but no, we're not going to do that. He could take a limousine because it costs more. Yeah, he's a Liberal. I expect that he'll be taking the limousine everywhere he goes. And we wouldn't have to eat Kraft dinner. That's what the line says. We wouldn't, if we had $1 million, we wouldn't have to eat Kraft dinner. Well, Kraft dinner goes for $1 a box, or 25 cents a meal, so that's 3,340,000 meals of Kraft dinner that we could have fed people who needed to go to the food bank or whatever the case might be. But no, we instead bought some nice furniture for the Minister of Infrastructure. And we could have even got the fanciest ketchup, Dijon ketchup, Madam Speaker. Well, that's 240,000 bottles of ketchup. We could buy you a green dress, but not a real green dress because, StatsCan says the household expenses on clothing is about $3,500. We could have clothed 238 homes with that money, Madam Speaker. I could buy you some art, a Picasso or a Garfunkel, and if he's getting Art Garfunkel to come and perform at the taxpayer's expense, I need to know. and he could buy you a monkey. Now, Madam Speaker, haven't you always wanted a monkey? If you took a look at a monkey at a pet store costs about $2,500. That's 334 monkeys. That's one for every member of Parliament. It's a monkey for you, a monkey for you, you. We could all have monkeys. Matter of fact, I think the folks at home watching this right now might actually say something about that. But the point of the matter is there's so much more things that we could do with this, Madam Speaker. And the last line of the song actually says, if I had $1 million, I'd be rich. Well, Madam Speaker, it's pretty rich that the Minister of Infrastructure spent $834,000 on his own office.